So please take a seat. Very well. Okay, so the panel is Entrepreneurship Across the Globe. I'm feeling very honored to be sitting amongst these gentlemen here. And just basically, I would ask if I can, let's say for the first question, since our target audience and the people who are viewing this panel are young entrepreneurs, are young folks who are trying to start a business, who are trying to get to know the business industry in Croatia, but also abroad. So maybe if you can just, Mr. Dalglish, if you can just answer the question, how long have you been here in Croatia, and what are the main differences between entrepreneurship here in Croatia and in your own country?
Thanks very much, and thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here, and to be here in person. I know we can't fill all the seats, but it's great to be able to do something together in the same room. I've been here 4 years, a little over 4 years, with another year to go. One of the things that struck me about Croatia is the amount of creativity there is in this country. You seem to be able to produce in Croatia people with great ideas, with a lot of energy, and whether that creativity is in entrepreneurship or it's in art or in culture, it's very present here. But I have to say that I'm not sure the system in Croatia is yet set up to make the most of that creativity. And that often people find that they have a great idea and they will take it along to an office somewhere, a government office, and the office will say, you have a great idea? Fill out these 80 pages of forms. And before you've even started, you've hit up against the system, which is making life difficult rather than facilitating your great idea. And that's something that we've tried to work on in the UK to make life easier so that people with great ideas can turn them into great commercial opportunities.
But how this compares to the system in your own country? Is there bigger freedom, or is it easier to set up a business than here in Croatia?
Yes, it is. And in fact, we have quite a few Croatian entrepreneurs who find that they don't need to come to the UK to train in IT or things like that. They know that. They've got all of that already. They come to the UK because in the UK, you can set up a company in about 24 hours. Mm-hmm. You can raise capital very easily. You can learn the business of doing business. And then when they've done that, they'll come back to Croatia, having a head office in London, and they'll open a sister office in Croatia. So in the UK, we make it easy for you to do business. We try to reduce the regulatory burden because you've got enough on your plate already without having to comply with endless regulations, filling out forms. And we give you the space to fail as well. If you're an entrepreneur, you're going to fail. That's just how it works. And you'll fail until you succeed. And you can fail in the UK without risk of your credit lines or your ability to borrow from the banks. You can fail and fail and fail and then become Richard Branson.
Mm-hmm. So maybe it's what I've heard, it's not about maybe the people, but the nurturement of the system to produce the big businesses or entrepreneurial efforts. But if I can ask to Sir Jandrišek a question, what is the main difference of doing business in, let's say, the atmosphere or the people here in Croatia and in your own great country?
That's a great question. And I mean, first of all, I'd just like to say thank you for having me.
It's an honor.
And certainly to the organizers for putting on an event like this during COVID-19. It's really a great accomplishment. So personally, I am not an entrepreneur. Obviously, I work for the federal government of the United States, but I definitely come from an entrepreneurial family in the U.S. My father, for more than 40 years, has owned his own business. His parents opened their own business. My mother's parents owned their own business, a clothing store outside Detroit, Michigan. One of my sisters, her husband owns a construction company. My other sister's husband is a consultant to microbreweries. So it's something that is really in the DNA in the United States of the citizenry, really. Everything from Silicon Valley to New York, and then everywhere in between, even the small towns, people aspire to be entrepreneurs. The culture supports that. And I suspect if you ask young people in the United States, what do you want to be when you grow up? Just as frequently as you might hear them say a baseball player, a football player, you'll hear them say, I want to be a business owner. So it's something that is very supported in our culture. It's something you hear about from a very young age. And of course, we have immigrants coming from all over the world to set up businesses in the United States. And similar to what I heard here, it's very easy to do so in the United States as well. We try to facilitate the conditions for people to open up businesses very quickly. And again, another very important point is that point of discussion about failure. It is something that is almost expected in the United States when you are opening a business for the very first time. You're not expected to always succeed. And I really don't even like the word failure. It's more an opportunity to learn and grow and be successful the next time. So there's no stigma associated with it. Most of the people I know, and very successful people that you hear about, their first business ventures, plural, may not have succeeded, but each time they learn from it and they're able to try again, to hone their business idea, and they're able to succeed ultimately at some point. And they're not punished for that failure. So I heard some very common themes there between the way we structure our system. So as far as Croatia goes, I definitely agree with some of those points. Really fostering reforms in the economy that make it easier for people to set up businesses is critically important. And really trying to lure back, especially young people who have gone to other EU countries to find opportunities. Croatia really needs to focus on trying to bring them back and have them be part of the economy here. Oftentimes the people coming back will have brand new ideas that they've learned from going overseas. And I've just in the couple years here seen a number of new businesses opening, restaurants opening that I know were inspired by people maybe traveling more in the past and bringing those ideas back from other places. So I think trying to make the conditions something that will entice those people to build their careers, build their businesses here in Croatia is something that's very important. And I know there's a lot of reforms taking place, and we would just encourage that to continue.
If I can just recapture the opening, you were saying that the businesses and being the owner in businesses is all around your family. But can we draw the line, and do you think that maybe tradition with Croatian culture, that people are not incentivized maybe enough to build the business, or is it more in tradition, just go to work from 8 to 4 or 9 to 5 and that will be it, you'll be happy?
Yeah, well, I think a lot of people in the US, they start out in those 9 to 5 jobs, right? That's where they sort of learn about a particular industry. But again, they are mostly focused on, at some point, at least a large percentage of the population, at some point, they want to take that knowledge and try to do it themselves and do it better. So I don't know if it's just the way the system is here that it's created some fear of not succeeding, or the obstacles that we were talking are just too high to get that set up, that there's just a prevalence of thinking where I'll just go work for the company, I'll work for this business, and that's good enough. So it is a mentality shift that needs to take place as well. And I think as Croatia opens up and more people are coming in, they're bringing those ideas, and as well as people from Croatia traveling more and seeing other things, right. They'll start to absorb some of that entrepreneurial spirit as well.
Okay, thank you. Also, to Sir Marcinkovsky, as a head of political economics section, how does this situation and the statements we heard, how does it roll over to your own country and your own experience here in Croatia?
Thank you for having me and the invitation to take part in this conference. Poland is definitely totally different from US and UK, and we are probably much closer to Croatia, closer than your countries. So, but still there are differences in how to do business and in approach to business. And I'm not an entrepreneur myself, but what I prepared here today is based on conversations with numerous entrepreneurs coming from Poland who want to invest in Croatia, or also Croatian entrepreneurs who are interested in developing business in Poland. So definitely what I can say that so many people in Croatia always, when they talk about opening business, they tell me how it is important to have connections and to know people in order to establish a profitable company in Croatia. And in Poland it's actually not so important. We are, I think, more formal when it comes to doing business, but it's probably in a way a difference in mentality a little bit, but also because Poland is bigger country simply, and there is a huge flow of people in cities like Warsaw or even Gdańsk, Krakow, and Poznań. So it's just impossible, to know everybody, in this city. And what is also a difference is, as my colleague said, that is the easiness of establishing business. In Poland is also, I think, much easier actually than in Croatia. And it's largely due to digitalization, because we developed this digitalization to quite advanced level, and basically you can do, and now during COVID-19 pandemic, it's even more developed and present, yeah. So basically you can do, whether it comes to, establishing business or solving some, paperwork that you usually have to do, you can do it online anytime, and you don't need to show up in person in any office, basically. So I think that's something I could share with you. So perhaps there is a future in it, and I think every country will probably develop it even more, and I think it's also something that Croatia could work on maybe more to make some services, not only public institutions, but services available online even more, like banks, for example. I know I had some problems with my bank here in Croatia, and I wanted to solve this thing, but it was on Saturday. And I couldn't do it because I couldn't call anyone. It was just open from Monday till Friday. But in Poland, most of banks work like 24/7, so you can get a loan anytime you want, basically. So I think it's also a difference, and it also help people, to run profitable businesses.
Yeah, one thing we've learned here in this Leap Summit, this is the 5th edition, and we were here yesterday and today, as many entrepreneurs speak here, and I would say one of the most important thing is they say, take action. I understand what you say about, having a relative in high place and start a business, but also as this initiative, take action, failure is not failure, but failure is just an opportunity, as you both said. So vis-a-vis Poland, do you encourage cooperation from Polish entrepreneurs and Croatian entrepreneurs and businesses doing on cooperation level?
Yes, of course. Actually now, Croatian Chamber of Commerce, in cooperation also with Polish Chamber of Economy, established a project called Go Global, Go Virtual. Mm-hmm. And it's a platform for B2B online meetings between entrepreneurs from Croatia and Poland and some other countries. And The peak of these countries that are in this program were based on a survey actually conducted here in Croatia among entrepreneurs. And the finding was that a lot of or most Croatian business people are really interested in actually markets of Central Europe, and namely Visegrad Group, Poland, Slovakia, Czech Republic, and Hungary. So we also, as an embassy, cooperated in establishing this, and I know there is in few days, basically next week, there will be the first session of this B2B meetings between Croatian and Polish entrepreneurs within the framework of the project Go Global, Go Virtual. So if you are interested in joining, you can just go on the website of HGK and find out more about it.
Can we just say it one more time for the viewers at home and right here if they maybe missed the name? So the name of the platform is?
Go Global, Go Virtual.
Okay, and you can find all the information on internet website or www.hgk.com. Okay. Thank you. And also, I would like to ask the same question because I think people are interested both in the Great Britain and the United States of America. How do you encourage cooperation, and do you maybe have similar platforms like the one stated from Poland? Mr. Taglish.
Yeah, in the UK, in previous years, we have organized competitions where winners who have got a great idea here in Croatia have won the access to one of our accelerator hubs that takes place in London. You're surrounded, you're plunged into an environment of entrepreneurs, of investors, of people with a lot of experience that they want to share. And so we've got a couple of great examples of Croatian young guys, you know, in the 20s, who have gone out. They've had that great idea. They've been taught, if you like, or they've learnt by doing how to convert it into a viable business. And then, as I said before, they've come back to Zagreb and they're working out of Zagreb now. So that kind of environment that is made by entrepreneurs for entrepreneurs is something that is working very, very well in the UK. I'd be enthusiastic about bringing it out here, whether we might have to do that virtually because of the current circumstances, or whether we can, in the future, do it physically and have that kind of, what's the word I would use, that kind of fair, if you like, of bringing people together
Networking,
to meet.
like,
Exactly,
yeah.
yeah, that kind of thing.
Okay, great. Also, the same question.
Sure. Well, obviously, the United States and Croatia share mutual goals of prosperity and security. One of the best ways to fuel prosperity is through entrepreneurship. So we do support a number of entrepreneurship-related events. We support those financially, and we have open competitions for those projects that you can find information on at our website. These are called notices of funding opportunities, so please just go to our webpage or to our Facebook page, and you can find these open competitions for supporting those projects. Another thing that I'd like to highlight is that we have 5 American corners around Croatia in different cities, and those are great places where we host a variety of different entrepreneurial events that focus on technology, innovation, other things like that. So you can find those schedules as well by going to our website or our Facebook page. But those are some local opportunities in different cities where you can participate in some of those things as well. So we definitely encourage you to visit those websites. And also, you know, just by supporting through our consular section and our public affairs section, there are a number of different opportunities for people to get visas to actually travel to the US and have the opportunity to work there. So I definitely want to put a plug in for that. Obviously, with COVID-19, we've got a lot of challenges with travel to the US or to anywhere. But we're hopeful that once this gets under control, some of these programs can be renewed again. A very popular one for us in the past has been summer work travel, where people can apply for a visa, apply for this program, and travel to the US and actually work in different, mostly hospitality businesses. But you learn a lot from that as well. Even if you're just going for a summer, you can learn a lot about ways that these businesses operate in the United States, and then also be able to bring some of that knowledge back, as well as, you know, some extra money as well, which always helps. So there's a number of different opportunities. I hope that some of these will be again reinstated in the near future, but certainly take a look at our website and our Facebook page for some of these open competitions and also events at the American Corners.
Great. I think this is really valuable information to all of our viewers and spectators. But maybe this is a too open question. You mentioned visa, and we in Croatia have been hearing about a lot of information in the media about possible cancellation of visa for the United States. Do you maybe have any comment on this topic?
Well, certainly the Secretary of State is here today in Dubrovnik, so I imagine there'll be quite a bit of discussion at those series of meetings. So I'm actually the consular chief, and we've worked very closely with the Croatian government on meeting the requirements for entry into the visa waiver program. I know that's a very hot topic. Lots of people are interested in that. And there are a number of requirements, both information sharing requirements, security requirements, as well as what a lot of people focus on, which is the visa refusal rate, and the threshold that needs to be at. But there's a whole host of requirements. We're working very closely with the Croatian government. There's been a lot of great progress. But just want to also focus that even if in the future we're on the right track towards the removal of visas for tourist or business travel, which would be a fantastic thing, I think, for people, you know, there are still visas required for a lot of other different categories, like if you're going as a student or something like that. So don't want people to just show up at the airport planning to travel.
I'm here.
I'm here. Let me go to the U.S. Make sure you do your research first. But I think we're on a very positive track for that, and certainly, you know, down the road in the future, if Croatia is able to join that program, that would certainly open up a lot of opportunities for people to be very flexible in the way they travel to the U.S.
Right. Also, today, in this 2020 year, unfortunately, we had the global COVID pandemic, which I'm certain that's also tackled your countries and your economy as well. But here, yesterday and today, from a lot of entrepreneurs, we hear that, you know, this can be also an opportunity for starting a new business, for taking new initiatives, for maybe finding new solutions. So the question would be, how is it in your country entrepreneurs are tackling the COVID pandemic, and what are the biggest challenges they have at the moment to overcome those same challenges, if I can ask you, Mr. Daglish?
Yeah, it is a difficult time, there's no question. Simply not being able to get out physically, to meet, to travel, to do the things that you normally do, a challenging time for everybody. For entrepreneurs in particular as well, people are more nervous perhaps than they were before about the state of the economy in the future, the global economy, and therefore perhaps less enthusiastic about taking a risk on an investment. But everything has a price. And every investment is, if people know what they're doing, they're making an investment aware of the risk. So COVID is just another risk.
Right.
There's a tremendous amount of capital sitting in the City of London looking for opportunities to invest. covering a whole range of areas, and that's not gone away, and that's not going to go away. So whatever the challenges might be, the entrepreneurial spirit is to say, yep, that's another obstacle in my way that I'm going to overcome, rather than just to throw it all up and say, life's too difficult, I'll not bother.
Yeah, I agree. Also, the same question for Sir Marcinkowski. What do you find the biggest challenges, and how does the situation affect the entrepreneurial branch and industry in Poland?
Well, certainly there is a huge move towards internet, and everything is moving to the internet, and there is a huge increase of e-commerce, businesses in Poland, and that's something that COVID-19 really made it, faster, this development. But of course, there are problems which entrepreneurs are struggling anyway, even before COVID. So still, even during the pandemic, most of entrepreneurs, they say that one of the biggest problem they have in Poland is the legal system. There are changes of regulations, and a lot of companies, they just simply can't follow it because they can't afford, especially small and medium enterprises, they can't afford a legal department in the company. So that's something that that stays, and it's still a problem that is going to be solved in a way. And pandemic didn't change that. Some old problems remain. Mm-hmm. There are new, of course, as Mr. Ambassador mentioned, but generally, I was surprised to read some surveys that actually the climate, the atmosphere among the entrepreneurs in Poland is not so bad. It's maybe because our economy is different, a bit more maybe diversified. Because we don't rely on tourism, for example, so much as Croatia. So I understand for Croatia, this year is a disaster, and for many businesses. And for us, it's not to that extent. Still, around 70% entrepreneurs, they see and they experience negative influence of pandemic, but the number of bankruptcies and this type of situations is not so actually high.
But would you say, as you captured the e-commerce and internet digitalization, is this the trend for 2020 in Poland in business sector? Would you say it is, or?
I think yes. I think that the e-commerce is definitely a trend, and also another trend which I could observe is the online work, of course, like everybody in other places. So online work and development of some sort of alternative ways of working from home, some programs, so people don't need to be present at the office, for example. I think that's the second trend in Poland, and I also believe in other countries. And I think that it may stay probably even after the pandemic, in a way.
Even after 2020.
I think so.
Sir Jantashuk, would you agree with this? Is it the same in the United States?
Yeah, I mean, I think entrepreneurs face the same challenges in the U.S. that they are all around the world.
All around, yeah.
And obviously, you don't want to minimize the effects of COVID-19 on a lot of sort of brick and mortar businesses. But when these things happen, it also is a call for more innovation. And I think we're seeing a big shift away from shared spaces to online environments. I think that's the trend. I think most people would agree with that. And I've had to see this in my own work. A lot of the things that we do in my section at the embassy can typically mostly only be done in the office, but we've found over time ways to shift a lot of that work to people that we want to have working from home. And we've had to get creative ourselves. The Department of State as a whole has gotten creative and been able to shift more and more of those resources to a shared environment online where people can access them and feel productive, feel like they're still part of the team. And so I think that's the trend. Is it doesn't look like the innovations that have happened online are going away. In a lot of cases, we found that it works better for people. It gives them a more flexible environment to work in. So just trying to enhance the apps and the technology and everything like that, it's really been spurred by an innovation in this, and I think we're raising up a lot of people's technical skills as well as they're having to adapt to these new technologies. I know I have. It's, you get used to work in a certain way, and then all of a sudden you have to learn multiple new apps to be able to be successful. And I've had to adapt, and I think it's helped me and helped me become a better manager and leader as well by being able to learn these new things. So
Right. And Sir Dalglish, is the same situation in your great country? How do you find the trends and where maybe the focus right now is for now and for the future?
Yeah, obviously, it's difficult to predict because nobody predicted we would be where we are now. So trying to predict where we'll be when we come out of it is just as hard. But that's what's called opportunity. And that's the kind of thing that some entrepreneurs will get it right, and they will do very well out of it. I don't mean out of the illness, I mean out of the opportunities that are presented. And some won't, and some will see their business fail. That's how the world works. So trying to predict where things will go is quite difficult. One thing that is changing is, it was mentioned by our Polish colleague, the presence of online commerce. And then there are big questions. What does that mean for our town centres? What does that mean for the coffee shops? Because if everyone's buying online and getting things delivered at home, then you're not going out shopping, you're not having a coffee. So it's not just the retail stores that close down, it's also the small business. What do we do about that? And I think that here there is a role to be played, not just for the business owners, but also our town councils, perhaps even our central national government, to figure out what the future is going to look like. Trying to do that now, when we're also trying to fight the fire of COVID, is extremely difficult. So I think this is one we're going to have to just keep our eye on.
Right. And what would your advice be for the young entrepreneurs right now in Croatia, based on your vision and culture in the United Kingdom?
It would always be stick at it. You are going to fail. As our American colleague said, you are going to fail, and that's normal. That's okay. Don't be discouraged from that. Don't allow yourself to be judged by that. One of the things that's changing in the economy, in the British economy, is a realization that we need to diversify. We need to be less reliant on some of the supply chains, for example, that we've grown used to. That means there's an opportunity, because those people that we tended to buy things from before, we're probably going to be buying less from them in the future, but we'll need to be supplied from someone else in the future as well. So stick at it. Make sure that you do not get pushed back by that failure, by that difficult circumstance. Stick at it, and success will come.
Thank you. Sir Marcinkowski, do you agree with this? Do you have maybe some kind of a different view on this? How is it things in Poland? Is the general atmosphere, okay, we'll push through this, we have great new ideas, or we are moving in this digital world? What are your advices would be?
Advices for Croatian entrepreneurs, right? Well, it's very difficult to advise anything in these times, because we don't know what maybe situation will be even much worse in few months. The COVID is still with us, unfortunately, but definitely not to you know, to try to stay positive in spite of, you know, these harsh conditions in this situation we are facing right now, because and remember what is you know, the most important. Of course, business is important, but we have to think about our health and think about it as well, and apply it in our work, maybe in a way. Well, I think looking at experience of Polish entrepreneurs of pandemic time and also before, I think it's good to really exploit and use the EU funds, which helped a lot of our entrepreneurs to and companies, especially small and medium enterprises, to flourish. And I think it's not something that is exploited in Croatia to that huge extent. There is still room for it, and I encourage you to take advantage of these funds.
Right. We talked about also the EU funds today, the day before, and we had some really good insight on how to apply, how to explore, or the opportunities that are given since we are in the European Union. And also to Sir David Andrzejczak, a few advices for the young Croatian entrepreneurs.
I mean, very similarly, just if you have a dream, you should pursue that dream and don't let any obstacles get in your way. Obstacles are something to go around or to go over, not to turn around and give up, or just, you know, if a tree falls in the road, you don't just abandon the car. You know, you try to figure out a way around it. So you have to be persistent and not get discouraged. The other thing I would say is an important thing to do is try to find other people who have an entrepreneurial mindset or have some passions that are similar to you in whatever you're trying to develop, and create a network. You all can learn from each other and support each other. You know, I even think back to my family's experience. You know, my father, when he started his business, it wasn't an inherited family business. He started on his own, but he had some friends who had done some things similar, and so they had their network where they shared ideas, thoughts on how they could improve what they're doing, thoughts on how they could improve their customer service, where to find access to funds, things like that. So he developed a network of people that helped him succeed. And I think, you know, that's something that the opportunities have only grown with the growth in online opportunities. You can really find other people who share that same passion and trade ideas, and that will help you along your path.
Oh, great. And also, this will be the end of the session. We mentioned Croatia and Croatian economy as a touristic country. So my question to you, all three actually, is how do you find your stay here in Croatia? Do you find our culture attractive? Do you find the people to be optimistic, pessimistic? So what is your take on your Croatian stay here?
For me, I've discovered that Croatia is a very nice place to live. And one of the delights of a job like ours is that you get to discover new places. And one of the sad things is that you then have to leave them. And that's the nature of the work. So I am really making the most of my time in Croatia. Are Croatians optimistic or pessimistic? I think Croatians, this is going to sound terrible, Croatians have a fantastic reputation as hardworking, full of energy, determined people outside Croatia. So you talk about the Croatian workforce if you're in the UK or Ireland, and you're famous for how much energy and passion you put into your work. But you talk to a Croatian in Croatia, and they'll say, no, we're the laziest people in Europe, it's terrible. So
enemies.
both can't be true. And I tend to believe that there is a drive that if you can harness this within Croatia, you can achieve anything.
Okay. Do you think the same?
About this attitude, or generally in Croatia?
Generally in Croatia.
Generally, I mean, Croatia is like a second home to me. It's my adventure with Croatia started actually 9 years ago when I was Erasmus student in Zagreb University. I spent lovely 1 year here, and then after 8 years I came back here as a diplomat. So so already almost 4 years in total, you know, I spent in Croatia, which is a country that is also very similar to Poland. You know, we are both Slavic countries, similar language, similar culture. We had experience of communism. Also, the Catholic religion is a dominant in Poland and in Croatia. So to me, is a very similar, you know, in a way, country, and I feel really great here as well as my entire family, and yeah.
So it's a good experience. And the final question to Sir Jandrzejczyk. We talked a bit in the backstage, and you mentioned that in the following year you should be going back home. But now that you've spent some time here, the difference between expectation before you came here and now?
Yeah, that's a great question. I just want to say also, this has been an absolutely fantastic time spent here. I've been here for 2 years now, and I just thoroughly love it. But there is always an adjustment period of time. You know, I would say that perhaps the first 6 months I was here, there were a lot of things that I had an expectation about that didn't quite go my way. Whether it's just sort of day-to-day interactions at even the grocery store or whatever, maybe a different mindset towards customer service than I was used to. But I have, maybe it's just I've adapted to the local culture, but to me, it seems like after a couple years here, that there is definitely a trend towards a newer attitude, and I've noticed it especially among young people, where there's more of an entrepreneurial spirit. People want to do things for themselves. They want to open businesses for themselves. And I feel like I've seen it. I've seen a lot of new places open up just in the couple years I've been here. And they have a very good focus on trying to bring to the customer what they really want, and help live up to their expectations. And I think that's a very good trend to see. And again, as we spoke about earlier, perhaps it's, you know, more people are traveling, more people are experiencing other countries, especially among the younger generation, and they're bringing back those ideas and implementing them here. But I've had a fantastic experience. It continues getting better. I'm definitely not looking forward to leaving in a year from here. It's been a really wonderful place. And you've got some just tremendous things about your country. It's extremely safe, and you've got the beautiful coastline. The nature's fantastic. And I think the people here, maybe takes a little bit longer to get to know people, but once you do, they're friends for life, and it's really been a wonderful experience.
Thank you all. Please, want a huge round of applause. We will end this panel session with this positive thought. Ladies and gentlemen, the British Ambassador to Croatia, Andrew Stuart Dalglish. Ladies and gentlemen, Consular Section Chief, U.S. Embassy in Croatia, Sir David Jandrzejczyk. And ladies and gentlemen, the Head of Political Economics Section, Embassy of the Republic of Poland, Sir Bartosz Marcinkowski. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you so much for being here, for participating, for sharing your own experience, your own wisdom to all who are watching, to all the entrepreneurs, to all people who are here at home or at work. Thank you one more time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.